Welcome to my channel. It's your girl Agasha from the 256, your East African girl, here to bring you positive vibes. Now, as you can tell by the title, I am going to be talking about how it is dating in a wheelchair. So yeah, point blank period. But before we get into that video, I am going to be doing my shout outs, and my shout out is going to be going to Makeup Swatch Fan, and they are saying, I love your positive vibes. Thank you. I love your positive vibes, and I hope you feel my positive vibes from me too. And okay, so let's get right on into this video. So dating in a wheelchair, y'all. Dating in a wheelchair. So before I get into the experiences I've had and what it's like, I just want to start off by saying these experiences are tailored to me, myself, and I. Again, me, myself, and I. So please do not assume that this is what everybody else in a wheelchair goes through. Remember, we are humans way before we are in wheelchairs. So I just want to start off by saying that these are my experiences and my experiences alone. So the first thing I just feel like I experience, what I feel like I get, senses about, is that certain people think people in wheelchairs only date people in wheelchairs, or people with certain mobility challenges only date people with certain mobility challenges. Nope, that is not the case. We have personalities too. We go for what brings out our personalities, and if I happen to, have feelings for somebody in a wheelchair, that's the case, but doesn't mean that that is what it should be. So that's just one of the things that I've experienced. There's a little bit of like, so why aren't you just going for guys in wheelchairs? Because, that would be much easier, and it would not be, no, because there's a lot more that goes into a relationship than just, physically looking alike. There's the element of trust. There's the element of do your personalities even get along? We do not only date people in wheelchairs, and that needs to stop being an assumption. We date whoever we want to date based on what our preferences are and what our interests are in that person, and that should just be that, And there's another point, is going on a date or even just hanging out with someone purely and feeling like you are here to boost their ego. This is not necessarily an example tailored to a dating experience that I've had, but when two of my proms, my best friend took me, and the best friend that took me is a guy. And I remember we took pictures, we posted them, whatever, and a few days later, this girl probably meant the best, but it just rubbed me the wrong way. She messaged me and she's like, oh my gosh, she was so kind for taking you out, he was really, that was really sweet, blah, 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 blah. But to me, it just kind of was like, if I was not in a wheelchair, I would not have gotten that message at all. And it's like, I should be able to go out, I should be able to be seen with a guy and not have people think that he's my brother, or, he's my caregiver, or, or he's just with me because he feels sorry for me. And I should be able to go out and not imagine that people think those things about me. And it all comes down to what is normalized. And a lot of what people find normal is what they see around them. You do not see mainstream music videos having wheelchair girls in them, which I think they should. So if you are a music creator or whatever and want someone to be in your music videos, just saying. And what's on TV, like, so it all just comes down to what is around us and what's put into our social media, what's put into our, our TV shows and all that. So I do understand that. I do understand that to some people this is a very, a strange idea that people in wheelchairs can be loved or can be in relationships with people that see them far beyond just their mobility challenge. But I think this is why having conversations such as this is helpful. And so my third point is, I'm debating putting this in here, but I'm going to put this because this is my honest dating experience in a wheelchair, so I can't leave this out. When I left home, I came to uni, and when you come to uni, you end up following bandwagons, and I followed a bandwagon and I got onto a dating app. So I feel like everybody says this when they go on a dating app. I was just doing this for fun. I was just doing this, nothing serious, nothing whatever. And partly that's what it was for me. It was like fun just to see what it was like, because I came from being in a school of literally 5 guys. I just wanted to explore. I wanted to meet new people. I wanted to, so got on this dating app, and I didn't really think about it. I really didn't think about it much. I picked photos that I liked. I picked photos that I was, felt like I looked cute in. But as a few days went by, and I noted, like, I was going through my pictures, and at this point I'd had a few conversations with people, and I noticed that, like, my wheelchair actually isn't clearly seen in any of these photos. So I decided to change that, because I didn't really want to make it a point to mention it in a conversation, because I just felt like, like, the conversations were pretty casual, and then I just dropped in, oh, I use a wheelchair, like, what's up, what's good, like, it just didn't flow. It just didn't flow, and I just felt weird. I was like, why do I even have to say that? So I ended up just changing. I remember putting a photo, like, the first photo from the selection of photos was, I decided to put a photo where I was in a wheelchair. And let me tell you, I didn't do no statistical counts, so I didn't actually really, like, think or make sure that I'd, like, added what it was like before and now. But my matches decreased. My matches decreased. A lot more of people that I was talking to started, disappearing. Crickets. Now, I wasn't too deep into it, so I wasn't, like, as butthurt. But it was kind of like, wow, like, I mean, when you're on an app that really just promotes you look good right, you look bad left, I mean, you can't really hope for much, but at the same time, it's like, wow, this is how people really are today. Like, when you are in a wheelchair and you're on an app like that, you constantly feel like, if you have not mentioned it, if you have not put it very clearly, literally on your forehead, you feel like you're catfishing. You feel like you're giving an impression of yourself that you're not, which is not the case. I feel like I really just wish for a day when it doesn't need to be explained. But there's one person that had an intention of meeting, and I was just like, wow, how do I bring this up? How do I say this? And so it was just like, it was really just awkward. And it was like, if I do say this now, do I lose the chances of, still going on this date with this person? Or are they just gonna, like, cut out? And to me, I'm somebody that is, like, literally a rip off the band-aid kind of person. So I'm pretty sure I told them in some way, yo, like, I need to go somewhere that's accessible because I use a wheelchair. Now, thankfully, they were not a jerk. They still kept the coffee date up. We met in public, don't worry. I use my sense, guys. I use my sense. And they were a really sweet person. But generally, going back to the point is, if I don't blatantly put, I'm in a wheelchair, if I don't have pictures of my wheelchair, I feel like I'm catfishing, and I just hate that, because it's like, I'm talking to you with a personality that is really true to myself. The only thing that I don't feel like needs to all the time be broadcasted is that I'm in a wheelchair. I am more than that. I am a singer. I am somebody that enjoys food. I am somebody that enjoys music. I'm somebody that enjoys so many things. So the fact that, I have to always start with this thing that I don't want to define me is annoying to me, So dating in a wheelchair also comes with being worried about locations, being worried about where you're gonna go. And this falls into places whether meeting people on the dating app, which I'm no longer on, left that in the past because it was what it was, and yeah, we're good. And meeting people that I know. So it's sometimes awkward, because especially when it happens with people that have seen you before and have chilled with you before, where they're like, oh, let's meet up, let's do this, and then they pick a place and it's not accessible at all, and you're like, ooh, I don't want to go there, because then I'm seeming high maintenance and they may not want to hang out with me again. But then at the same time, like, I literally can't go there. And when I'm places where I feel like I can't really enter freely or leave freely, I start to get a little bit subconscious, I start to get a little bit nervous, and then I'm not my true self. But at the end of the day, I'm also someone that doesn't want to let spaces define me. So it's a bit of both. It's a bit of like, okay, let's just go do it, and I'm gonna tell them how to lift me, and I'm gonna tell them this is how it is. Go, 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 go. But at the same time, you also don't want to scare somebody off. Like, if the first time you hang out by yourself, it's like, oh, you have to lift here, you have to lift here, they're like, whoa. Like, I just wanted to chill with you. I didn't want all of this. So I often fall into wondering, like, yo, do I tell them I can't go to this place, or do I tell them I can and we'll sort it out, or whatever the case may be. So it definitely is like, so, and this also comes back to infrastructure, y'all building restaurants, y'all building places, just make them accessible so that we don't even have to have that conversation with whoever we're meeting. Like, just make it accessible, point blank, period. Literally all it has to be. My next point about dating in a wheelchair is wondering if you are a fetish or an experiment or a bet or whatever other terms are there. So I've known a couple people and they've been really cool. I've hung out with them. They've been amazing. But in the back of my head, I'm just like, I don't have time to be a fetish. And this goes both ways. I'm Black and I'm in a wheelchair, so it's like I don't want to be here to fulfill your I want to have brown babies kind of thing, and I don't want to be here trying to fulfill your like, oh my gosh, I just like disabled girls kind of thing. And there's this term called devotees or devotees, and they basically just appreciate the fact that they have, I guess, dominion over you, or they just, it's weird to me. It's weird to me. I'll definitely link down the video below where one of my friends actually talks about this more in depth. So I'm always apprehensive, when I get to know people, I get to, I don't ever want to be into deep and then I figure out that this person's motives are completely whack. Like, they're just with me because I'm Black, or they're just with me because they wanted to test the waters with the girl in a wheelchair, or they wanted to see what it was like, and then it's like, adios amigos. Like, I don't want to be in that position, so I'm always very apprehensive. I'm always very careful. I'm always very like, I give a little, but I keep a lot, because I'm just always in the back of my head, I don't have time to be a fetish. Like, not today, not tomorrow. And I had an experience. Somebody did message me on that account, and they were like, hey. I was like, hey. They were a dude. And I checked out their Instagram. It looked pretty shady to begin with. I looked at their following, and they were literally only following women in wheelchairs or women with different other mobility challenges. And I was like, okay, let's step out of that real quick. He messaged me back and he's like, I really love disabled women. And I was like, what? So I basically wrote back and I said, you know what? I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know how to feel about pretty much being told I'm pretty just because I'm in a wheelchair. Like, that pretty much seems to me as a fetish. He got offended, but I was like, I had to say what I needed to say. Like, so my last point on dating in a wheelchair really is balancing how nice I let guys be to me on a date. You want the guy to open the door for you. You want the guy to, pour your drink. You want the guy to, take off your coat or whatever. You want them to do cute things. But I always find it hard to balance how nice I let them be. Like, pushing me, for instance. Like, if a guy offers, I find that the most gentlemanly thing to do, instead of just like, I'm gonna push you now because I don't care how hot you think you are or how hot you think the moment was. Offer to push me before you just push me. And 9 times out of 10 I'll probably say yeah, because I want to feel like a woman, I want to feel like a lady and all that. But I always struggle with saying, okay, I'm allowing this dude to do this, but I don't want him to get into his head that I can't do it myself. I don't want him to get into his head that, if this doesn't end up going further, he's always going to have to help me because I let him do certain things on this date. I always want it to be understood that you're helping me push me, or you're opening this door because I pretty much allowed you to, not because I can't do it myself. And with that often comes with looking like you're being sassy or you're being rude, and then that also just puts off the whole moment. So I mentioned a whole lot of things in this video that have to do with what I experience in the dating world, and this is not to say that because I experience these things I will never be in a relationship, or somebody in my position will never be in a relationship, because at the end of the day it all comes down to how you present yourself and the confidence that you have in yourself. So even though I've experienced all those things, I believe that it's about showing up the next day and being better and not allowing that to bring you down. And so I'm just really focusing right now on just myself and focusing on how I want to view myself regardless of how it all turns out, regardless of if I meet somebody, regardless of if I don't, am I comfortable with who I am on the inside, who I am on the outside. And so yeah, so currently I'm really not looking I'm really not looking for that, which I guess for my parents and my aunties and uncles, they're like, you should be focusing on studies anyways, which I am. But I just thought I would do this video because I just wanted to be normalized. I watched a few videos today and I just really felt like, damn, I'm actually not alone. And it was I'm the only person in my friend group that uses a wheelchair, so sometimes I do feel alone. I do feel like the experiences that I have are literally only mine, and I don't get to, go and be like, oh my gosh, you had that experience, I had that experience. Like, there are things that do overlap, obviously, between able-bodied and wheelchair relationships, but like some of the deeper stuff, like I really just be feeling like that's just me that gets it. But I'm learning to love it. I'm learning to appreciate my space, to appreciate my time, and to use this space where I'm on my own to grow and to understand who I truly am. So when I am with somebody, I know how to present myself. I know what I want. I know, I know what the deal is with me. So yeah, I'm pretty much gonna end it at that. So you guys know I like to end it. You're fearfully and wonderfully made, and don't let anyone or anything tell you otherwise. And that is on that. And I will see you in the next video. Peace. Ooh, that was pretty